Hello, this video is about the Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine, 1914, awarded to Robert Bárány for his work on the physiology and pathology of the vestibular apparatus. Here you see a short video, or a few seconds, of a person who has nystagmus. If you already had the other movie about the subject, you have already met that phenomenon. Here you see the anatomy of the ear. If you want to see that in detail, you better pause the video. And this is what this subject is about, the inner ear. Then we go to his Bárány's Nobel Prize lecture, some new methods for functioning testing of the vestibular apparatus and the cerebellum. And this is a summary of his lecture made by me. If you want to read the complete lecture, interesting also, but longer, then you have to follow the link which is in the description of the video. Here we go. A brief history of my discoveries. The understanding of it requires only a minimum of specialist knowledge. First, discovery of a new method of testing the apparatus of the semicircular canals. These are those. These are the semicircular canals. There are three of them, three directions. The inner ear in all vertebrates consists of cochlea for the purposes of hearing and the vestibule semicircular canals. The anatomy of the vestibule semicircular apparatus was developed by Retzius. Up until the 19th century, the function was unknown. Florence published about it first in 1825. He destroyed the canals in living animals which caused disturbances. For instance, pigeons with a destroyed horizontal canal flew horizontally in circles. When a vertical canal was destroyed, they flew in vertical circles. He could not explain this vertigo. Purkinje experimented on humans and he discovered the involuntary motions of the eyeball during vertigo, the nystagmus. We just saw that. He proved that vertigo arises in the head. The two knew each other's work but did not connect it. Only in 1861, 30 years later, Meniere was able to take a bold step forward. He was an otologist. He had observed the frequent coincidence of vertigo, Schwerhörigkeit, auf Deutsch, this German, and tinnitus in cases with normal middle ear. The latter two were caused in the cochlea. The former was then brought to be caused in the cerebellum, but he disputed that. Meniere came to the idea that it might be caused in the semicircular canals, both in men and in, for instance, pigeons. Goltz in 1870 stated that the canals have the function to maintain equilibrium and balance. His theories proved to be incorrect. His further theories proved to be incorrect. Breuer, Macher, and Brown in 1874 all came independent back to the same idea. Breuer pointed to the working of the fluid in the canals, the endolymph. He also showed that vertigo, as predominated in humans, can be induced by rotating animals. He came to the conclusion that the semicircular canals apparatus is a sensory organ for the perception of rotary motion. Vertigo is the result of abnormally strong stimulation of this organ. Mach took a different road, established mathematical equations for rotary movements. His investigation that no other organ, including the brain, is able to sense rotation. He showed that the structure of the canals is best suited for this. Brown investigated persons with vertigo and came to the same conclusions. There are the founders. Subsequent research was done by Heugies, Ewald Janssen, etc. Heugies set himself the task of finding the central mechanism in the movement of the eyes, the nystagmus. It is located in the parts of the brain between the entrance of the auditory nerve into the medulla oblongata and the corpora quadrigemina. He also found that after destruction of the semicircular canals, the patient can recover, and also that the canals on both sides balance each other. Ewald definitely proved the connection between the movements of the endolymph and head and eye movements. He also proved the influence of the semicircular canal apparatus on the entire body musculature. Janssen further discovered that nystagmus of the eye is a symptom of disease of the canal apparatus. He also found that disease of the canals occur in cases of subversion of the middle ear. Unfortunately, there was still no method of testing the function of the apparatus. In contrast to other sensory organs investigation, rotation is not so easy. How, for instance, can one stimulate only one of the two canal apparatus? The choleric method which I discovered was the first to bring light. Now methodological examination was possible. As a young otologist, I worked in Politzer's clinic. Many patients needed syringing of the ears. Sometimes this led to vertigo and nystagmus in the eye. I realized that the general principle must be behind this. One patient mentioned he only got vertigo when the water was not warm enough. Water that was too hot also led to vertigo and nystagmus, but in the opposite direction. Water at the exact temperature of the body gave no vertigo and nystagmus. This was also the case in ears without separation. Nystagmus was the result of a reflex action of the semicircular canals. If these were destroyed, there would be no reflex reactions. There were a series of cases that confirmed these conclusions. To study further and treat diseases of the middle ear, a clinic was set up. Holmgren was one of the researchers in the new clinic. I recognized the importance of the caloric reactions but could not explain it. The lab is still like a water tank. Spray on one side the cold water. The water on the other side of the tank will also be cool and will sink due to higher density. Other warmer water will take its place. Spray hot water, the movement will be in the opposite. Say this was spraying from the left side, everything will be opposite when the spraying is done from the right side. This was tested and confirmed. The nystagmus was exactly as predicted each time. It agrees also with the earlier theory of Breuer and Mach, who recognized the importance of the movement of the endolymph in the semicircular canals. Now a discovery with regard to the location in the cerebellum. Ramon y Cajal has shown that each fiber of the nervus vestibularis divides into branches when entering the brain, each branch leading to ganglia cells which are also in connection with the central eye muscles. One branch goes into the cerebellum, divides into two branches again. This was discovered with small animals. This is not applicable to large animals and men, but it was clear that also in men there is a connection to the semicircular canal nerve and the cerebellum. Bach's book from 1906 on the cerebellum in mammals gave pointers. He was able, by comparing giraffes and moles, to find the region in the cerebellum connecting with the neck muscle. He did comparable research for the muscles for arms and legs, the trunk, etc. Bárány describes several of his own tests, which are skipped here. Syringing the semicircular canals not only results in nystagmus, but also in difficulty to direct the extremities, all four, and the whole muscular apparatus. Thus I was able to prove that the direction of movement is localized in the cerebellum. There is localization left and right side of the cerebellum. There's also localization with regards to joints, like shoulder, elbow, wrist, hip, knee, ankle, etc. There were also cases of spontaneous deviation in movement, thus without stimulation of the semicircular canal apparatus. My investigation brought to the conclusion that there are centers in the cerebellum in which the muscular apparatus was arranged firstly according to the direction within the centers according to the articulation, one for right, one for left, one for up, one for down direction. In normal situations, these four centers provide a certain tension tonus for the muscles of the extremities, making it able to move to the correct position. A move to the right can be caused by extra tension to the right or cut tension to the left. The tension is normally always there. Completely relaxing the right side also leads to the movement to the correct position. Finally, one more experiment. It was done by Trendelenburg with apes. He exposed the dura mater over the right cerebral hemisphere at the movement center for the left hand. Ice water was poured over it. It paralyzed the hand without the animal noticing. Then pouring body temperature water resulted in the return of the functioning. Kommer and I did on with an available patient. The experiment proved 1. The localization in the cerebral cortex, 2. The predictability of the cooling method in living human beings. The results were the same as with apes, in this case for the right shoulder on the left. The patient was not harmed in any way, not even after 12 repetitions. The experiment was successfully repeated with other patients and at other clinics with other doctors. Thus, the localization is correct, there is no danger to the patient. The wall will no doubt give many opportunities for these kind of experiments. Okay, that was it. As you can see, you can read the complete text unsummarized both in English and in German on the official site. Here you can see the inner ear with the 3 canals and the cochlea, which were also mentioned in the text. You see a diagram of the caloric reflex. If you want to study it, you better pause the video. And here you see the neural pathway of the vestibular system, which is quite complicated, as you can see. Again, if you want to study it, you better pause the video or go to the original at Wikipedia. Okay, this was it for the moment. Next week we will go further with 1915. For now, thank you for watching and maybe until another time.